I'm rethinking my entire relationship because my boyfriend genuinely believes it's worse to cheat on an abuser than to actually be one. To be clear, nobody in this situation is abusive and nobody is a cheater. My boyfriend, 26 male, of 2 years, and I, 24 female, got into an argument that started with The Musical Waitress, which is about a woman who cheats on her abusive husband with her gynecologist. She's also pregnant. The husband is physically and financially abusive and won't let her leave him, though she is secretly saving up money to enter a pie baking competition, so she can hopefully use the prize money to leave him and find a better future for herself and her baby. Here's my take. I don't condone cheating, but in my opinion, if your partner's hitting you and trying to take all your money, then you don't owe them any loyalty. At that point, you're more of a prisoner than partner, and you don't have to feel bad for cheating. It's better if you don't, because you might be in a lot of danger if your abuser finds out, but I wouldn't shame the cheater. However, in this case, the doctor also has a wife, which the main character knows from the beginning but ignores until she meets said wife, at which point she ends the affair. So, I think she's in the wrong for sleeping with a married man, but not wrong for cheating on her husband. My boyfriend is a lot more religious than I am and says that there is never an excuse for cheating. He says adultery is always a sin, and if she wanted to have a new relationship, she should have waited until she could leave him. He says the husband is wrong for abusing her, but she also made vows to be faithful to him, and 2 wrongs don't make a right. He says he doesn't know if he could remain friends with someone who cheated on her husband, even if he was abusive. Personally, I think this take is freaking crazy. Of course, I didn't say that to his face, and I find his rigid definition of sin and immorality alarming. He says I don't understand because I'm not religious. I said I don't think religion validates not having empathy for an abuse victim and recognizing that the relationship dynamic changes once abuse starts. I also think the idea of cutting off a friend for cheating on her abuser is horrific. He says it shouldn't matter because neither of us plan on abusing or cheating on the other, and he doesn't want to keep going back and forth about it, but I can't stop thinking about it, and the longer I think, the more disturbing I find it. He's never been cheated on or abused, so it's not like some traumatic psychological thing. He just can't wrap his mind around cheating being okay in any circumstance. Up till now, religion has never been a reason for disagreement, and neither of us want kids, so I didn't think it would, but the whole "you don't understand because you're not religious" really got on my nerves. Both of us agree that the doctor is unequivocally wrong both for cheating and for hooking up with a vulnerable patient. He deserves to get dumped and fired and have his medical license revoked, but that's not really relevant. It feels a little ridiculous to end a relationship because of an argument that started with a fictional musical about pie, but here I am. I'm seriously considering it. Edit to clarify, I'm not trying to justify or condone actual cheating in any way. I would never encourage or support someone to cheat, no matter their circumstances. The point of disagreement is that I think the cheater being an abuse victim who can't leave is reason to have compassion for why they did it, and it's messed up to end a friendship over that. Update the next day. First off, thanks for all the replies to the original post. The reason I turned to Reddit was because he was shutting down conversation while I wasn't ready to let it go, and you guys helped me figure out why exactly it bothered me and how to organize my thoughts to better communicate them. As most of you said, the core issue wasn't really about the musical or hypothetical situation, it was about the implication of underlying principles that I didn't agree with and the inconsistency in his religious beliefs, as well as the tone of religious superiority that got to me. So, I brought it up again last night, over FaceTime. We don't live together, fortunately, and he was quite upset that I wouldn't let it go because I'm normally not argumentative like this. It's true that I usually try to find common ground or compromise, but I thought that was weird of him to say. At this point I felt pretty guilty about not letting it slide and I considered dropping it, but I'd spent too much time thinking about it to let it go, and boy am I glad I didn't. I started by asking about why this was a situation that could be dictated solely by religious doctrine, while he's fine with things like premarital lovemaking, abortion, homosexuality, etc. He gave evasive answers for a ridiculously long time, but eventually it all came out. He is uncomfortable with gay people and distances himself from them too. What about our gay friends? Apparently they're my friends, not our friends. I guess we've only hung out with them in larger groups. Why has he never said anything about this before, even when I excitedly told him that 2 of our female friends were engaged? Apparently he thinks he shouldn't have had to say anything, and I should have known he's not okay with people who live in sin. Also, this couple won't really be married. Huh? I go to Pride every year to support my LGBTQ+ friends. He never criticized me for doing that, so why would I think he had a problem with it? I'm a quiet person by nature, it's not like I don't give him a chance to share his opinion. At this point I start to get really suspicious. I then ask him about abortion and being okay with not wanting kids. Turns out he does want kids. He tried to convince me that I misunderstood when he said he didn't want kids, and he was just saying that he wasn't ready for kids yet but would be in the future. This is an outright lie. I've known since I was about 14 that I never want kids, and I have never wavered on that. I always bring this up within the first few dates, and I distinctly remember him saying that he was looking forward to child-free adulthood, and how much freedom dinks, double income no kids, have. This is when I start to get really upset because I know he's lying to me. Looking back now, I realize I never went back to asking him about abortion because I was so shaken by the kid's revelation. I wouldn't be surprised if he outright lied about being pro-choice as well. The conversation continued with us talking about religion in general. As I said, I'm not religious, and he's never tried to get me to go to church with him or anything. I was raised by immigrant parents who practice a minority religion, but they are not devout/they favor scientific explanations, and they raised me to be respectful of others' beliefs. I thought he understood that. In the past he's asked me about cultural and religious customs and seemed respectful and interested. Turns out he thinks their religion is not real, as opposed to his, and it's interesting to see their customs, but we can't expect them to know better because they weren't well educated. Both of my parents not only went to reputable universities in their original country, but also went on to get master's degrees in the country we live in now. That's when I realized he's a bigot. I also asked him about why he's okay with premarital lovemaking but not any of the other stuff, and he hemmed and hawed and didn't have an answer, which is when I realized he's a horny nincompoop. At this point he's still acting like I'm the bad guy for not automatically knowing all these things he's either never said and not automatically knowing when he meant the opposite of what he said. By now I know that I'm done with this relationship, but I ask him why, if religion is so important to him, he's okay with me not being religious. Long story short, he basically thought that by the time it all came out, I'd be so obsessed with him that I wouldn't dare leave him, and I would become a follower of his religion because let's be honest, he's out of my league and I won't find anyone better now that I'm getting fat. I've gone from a size 2 to a size 4 in 2 years, what the heck? And some frankly racist, elitist crap about how his, rich, family is better than mine. This whole time he was acting like I was ridiculous for overreacting to all these revelations. Finally I told him it was over and he didn't seem to believe me. Whatever, I know I'm done with him. I went to bed angry and upset, but I woke up more relieved that I know the truth now. It's going to take me a while to trust again after all those lies, but better that it happened now when I can make a clean break than if it happened after I'd moved in with him or after I'd gotten pregnant and he'd gotten me arrested for seeking an abortion. Luckily I have the day off work today to process it all mentally. I didn't have any texts or calls from him this morning, so I figured he'd either accepted it or was still in denial. I didn't care much. Then a few hours ago I got a very angry voicemail from his mom, a woman I've met twice and has my number because we exchanged a few recipes, telling me I'm going to hell for, among other things, cheating on her baby boy. That's right, this guy must be a pathological liar or something, because his response to me dumping him for being a liar was to run to mommy with a new lie about me hooking up with some fictional man from work. Forget the fact I'm not a cheater, I don't even work with any men who would fit this lie. I sent the mom a text spelling out the truth and told her I was blocking her, which I did. Since then I've been reaching out to friends to tell them my side of the story before he feeds them a bunch of lies too. Fortunately the ones I've talked to so far believe me, because I was kinda scared about the fact I don't have any proof besides the voicemail, and he is the more charismatic and persuasive one. The friend group is pretty liberal-minded though, and it is bizarre that his opinions never came up before. But I guess he saw them as my friends while his church friends, who I never saw much of, were his friends. Overall, I'm trying to stay optimistic, but it's terrifying how smoothly he could lie to me for so long. It only came out because he let his guard down because we were talking about a fictional story. Initially I felt ridiculous for not letting it drop. Thank you to those who encouraged me to trust my instincts and get to the root of what bothered me. Finally, though it didn't come up again, I'll say again for the record that abuse victims whose partners won't let them leave are prisoners, not partners. They do not owe their captors any loyalty. Infidelity in that context is not a healthy or safe or smart choice, but people make bad choices when they're in survival mode. We don't have to condemn them for it. The number of people on that thread who seem to consider abuse and cheating as equal transgressions is seriously disturbing. Anyway, on to the rest of my life, I guess.